What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode. Actually, this is episode number 2 of Meet the Bites. I have someone very special here in this episode, and her name is Natalie Kwong. Hello, how are you doing, Natalie?
Hey,
How's your day going?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's evening here, but yeah, it's been great so far.
Actually, the first time I spoke to you, which was on a Zoom call, you were in New York, but you're not in New York. Actually, no, you're not in New York for a while. You told me that you're traveling throughout Europe at this very moment.
That's right. Yeah,
Where are you right now?
I'm in Paris.
You're in Paris.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
um, how long are you in Paris for, and how long are you traveling for? Because you told me you're traveling for a couple months throughout Europe while working for for Airbyte.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm in Paris this week, and actually even today I met a few people like Airbiters who live around Paris
Nice.
for the first time, and we've been working together for a year, but we just haven't been able to meet in person until now. So that was really special. And then next week will be London, and then followed by Italy, and then I'm going back to France, but more kind of on the south coast.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long are you gone for?
I think it's been about a month since I left, and then I've got another month ahead.
Wow.
But
That is awesome.
yeah, I don't really have plans just like set for August, but I'll be around it at least I
Yeah.
think until September because actually we just hired a growth engineer, which I can definitely talk about kind of later in the interview as well, out of
Uh-huh.
Madrid. So we're hoping to maybe do a little trip out to Madrid to help onboard her.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, for people who don't understand what's going on right now, well, I mean, this is not even technically travel for purpose. This is you literally just traveling. But here at Airbyte, we are a completely remote company. And you know what's really interesting is that when I interviewed, I asked, what if I wanted to work in the Philippines for a month or two, or et cetera, while I work here, or I maybe go to Mexico or whatever. They said, yeah, as long as you get your work done, we don't care where you're at. And I'm like, there's no way. They're just saying that. They just want to take me away from my last job. No way. But it's actually legit, and you're doing it right now. And for people who don't know who you are, sorry, I didn't even introduce who you were or what you do here. I just got so excited to hear that you get to travel while working full time. You're the growth product manager. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Hi, everyone. This is Natalie, and she's a growth product manager here at Airbyte. So that is what you do here, and so you're focusing on that while traveling the world, literally. My question then, right? And I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but since this is happening, how does this work, right? Because you're in a totally different time zone. Are you working Paris time zone, whatever time zone that is, right? Or are you still working New York time zone? What's your
Yeah.
schedule like?
Pretty much the New York time zone. I get like mornings and kind of early afternoons to myself, and kind of to
Uh
go
huh.
to the park. Today I went to lunch with the team, and then I usually am on around like 4 p.m. And I'm a night owl, so I usually work until maybe like midnight or so. But that's kind of the
Nice.
schedule I'm following, the East Coast hours that I used to have.
So you're working until like midnight. That's not bad though,
No,
right?
especially if, yeah, I'm definitely I err more on the night side, so it's not
Yeah,
too difficult for me. Plus, I get to sleep in a little bit, which is kind of nice. Waking up and feeling like,
yeah.
yeah, you got a good amount of rest.
So that's amazing. So you're actually taking advantage of the fact that we get to work remote, which is amazing. So let's get back to talking about everybody now. Traveling, we can travel the world. That's amazing. That's literally one of the best perks about working here. Now, you are a growth product manager here, but you were not always the growth product manager. You had a different position here. You
Yeah,
were, I believe, director of operations.
yeah,
And just reading those two different titles, that sounds totally different than growth product manager.
yeah.
Is it the same job, or did you just receive more responsibilities, or is it completely different? Yeah, can you explain that? Help me understand.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, the director of operations title was interesting because my background is in go-to-market operations and analytics, and we actually
Hmm.
when I joined, we didn't necessarily have a go-to-market motion. We weren't selling anything. We only
Yeah.
started selling stuff like this year, and so I was working a lot on making different teams more efficient, thinking about what would we need in the future, and so that's where I really focused my energy for the first couple months. And then naturally,
Mm,
as we started to think about selling things, I wanted to better understand kind of how people could potentially move through a product, never talk to anyone, and still buy it and love it. And that
yeah.
was really interesting to me. So that was why the growth product manager role was Not something that we officially opened or anything like that, but something I really felt like, hey, this is something that I could be really good at and really enjoy.
That is really interesting because when I look at your history, and you've been in tech, right? You've had experience in tech, et cetera. You worked in mainly like what I think data analytics. You worked as an analyst, senior manager analyst, head of customer success operations, et cetera. How was that transition? Because it seems like this is totally different. I mean, it is relatable, but it's also at the same time totally different. It's in particular because we're at a fast-paced, hyper-growth startup. How has that transition been for you, and how does it feel to know that you actually have the ability to grow in the company too? You went from director of operations to grow product manager.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely the first time that I joined a company that was as small as it was. And so definitely being part of a really small group, being extremely close to engineering was really pivotal, I think, in kind of thinking about how could I really be closer to the product, be closer to the engineering teams, and this role kind of enables me to do that. How I've adapted, it's been interesting. I think I've created a lot more personal relationships early on, which has been really
Mm.
cool because of course
And you
in a
joined early too, right?
yeah, in a small company, you have to, even if you
True.
don't meet everyone.
You have to.
But
Hmm.
it's an environment which really fosters that, and I love that because it's sometimes when you join a larger startup, it's much harder to build those connections because
Hmm.
you
You're
have
more
kind of
you're in a bubble, right? You're really
yeah.
stuck with the team that you're working with, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, yeah. And unless you work together with someone, it's hard to find those opportunities to
Yep.
really make those connections. And so being in a small company, it really helps. It's very natural. And every time we,
Yeah.
we meet, even in person, it's like it doesn't matter what team you work on. It's we're kind of in this boat together.
Definitely. No, I agree 100%. This is a smaller company than my previous job, but to be honest, I think the culture here from my experience so far, I've been here for about, wow, 7 months now, has been amazing. It is not even comparable to the last jobs I've been at. The culture here is amazing. It is it is very, very fast paced. So a question I want to ask you next is, why did you join Airbyte? What is it? Joining a small company, a startup, is always a risk, right? Obviously. But I'm curious, everyone has a different reasons. But what is your reason? Why did you join this company?
Yeah, I think on
No
a
pressure.
person
Everyone's watching.
I have a couple. On a personal level, I was ready for a challenge. I felt that there was
Mm,
not a lot of room for me to grow, especially into like the growth product manager role in my last company. And it was time for me to really expand beyond what I was doing every day and start to do stuff that I wasn't hadn't done before. So that was like I think at the personal level. On a company level, I being in the analytics space in the past, I understood immediately what Airbyte was trying to do. When I stumbled upon the company, I kind of thought, oh, this company is doing something that I actually like solving a problem that I didn't know could be solved, being essentially the standard for data integration, tackling that long tailed connectors. Admittedly, have been a big supporter of some of Airbyte's competitors in the past, and this was really a way that I saw to actually change the face of data integration. So it was very
mm,
compelling in that sense. And so, yeah, I think both those two things coupled made it really easy
yeah.
for me to move.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. And I mean, I'm glad I joined Airbyte. I had no idea how big of an impact we're having in the industry, especially going to the conferences I've been going to every single month. Gone to two conferences just this month alone, or was it last month? Every the whole year feels like one day to me. I want to ask this question for those people who are curious about Airbyte, right? I interviewed Charles to ask him this question. I want to ask you as well. Well, it's a two-part question, so I'll ask this first one. How has it been for you working here this far, right? Fast paced and etc. And the second question, well, I'll ask the second question first. I'll let you answer this because you might
Sure.
forget to answer it. So, like, how has it been for you? How long have you been here exactly? I think you've been here for over a year.
Yeah.
Oh, you were here in the seed stage. Seed stage? No, Series A,
A.
right?
Yeah.
Series A. Nice.
Yeah.
Good job. Okay, so you've been here since that stage. Yeah, how's it been for you since then? Right. What have been one of the like largest challenges you had to tackle for you personally, joining the company?
Yeah. I mean, I think personally, how I communicate has really changed. We touched on a little bit about being remote. It's very
Mm,
much a part of our DNA as this async culture of a lot of different docs flying, a lot of kind of asynchronous communication across multiple time zones, being super collaborative from an async perspective, and really valuing the time that we spend together, whether it's on Zoom or in person. And it's very different, obviously, from the kind of cultures that I'm used to with going to the office every day and feeling like, we have that FaceTime every day. So it really changes the dynamic, and that's definitely something I've become much clearer in my communication, how I communicate, how I say what I say,
Mhm.
and being a lot more direct and being able to be more clear about like what I want to tell people. So that's definitely been a skill that I've developed a lot. I think something that I feel that I've done a lot more of here is really taking
Mhm.
ownership. And everyone here, one of our values is like having ownership over the outcome. And I think
It's an
that's
absolute must for everyone here.
yeah. It's like take the initiative because you own your
Hmm.
space. And I think in other roles that I've had, again, with the larger companies, you have a team and a manager that kind of owns prioritization and roadmap for you. But here I very much felt every single person for every role that they have owns it for themselves. And that's the expectation. So I think that mentality has really been something that's shifted for me in a really positive way.
That's like a really good point. Ownership, and for me, and I just want to add on top of that. I think the ability to fail. They want us
Yeah.
to try new things, and it's one of my one-on-ones recently. Even with the co-founder Jean Lafleur, he told me, "Yeah, Chris, I want to see you take even more risks."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What? Hold on, you want me to take more risks?" I focus on video content on YouTube and at conferences, but that's so exciting because I even asked him, "What if a video or whatever content or talk I give really bombs?" He said, "You're trying something new. That's what's important." The fact that we have the ability to fail and they're totally fine with that is huge because that gives me to grow even that much more, learning from our mistakes, improving, et cetera, et cetera. Next question. Oh, actually, no, you didn't answer one question. I'm not going to let you get out of this. What is the biggest challenge you had to face working here
Biggest challenge? Oh, interesting.
as a growth product manager? Yeah, it was. I mean, there's a lot of challenges. Whatever you measure as big, it's different for every person, right? But what has been the most challenging thing for you here?
Yeah, I think there's so many things in a small company to work on. I really needed
Mhm.
to understand how prioritization needed to be at the forefront. We're still a small team on the growth side,
Yeah.
and there's so many things we could be doing, so many improvements that we could see. But what's in our power to change? What's the highest impact, and what's the kind of the lowest effort to equate to that? That's definitely everything has a trade-off. And so that's something I had to learn is I don't have infinite time. In the earlier days, there'd be days where, I just wanted to try to get everything done. And so I did that at the sacrifice of, doing other things in my life. But, that's a place where I realized, yeah, we just need to set the priority right. We need to keep ourselves sane, keep ourselves mentally healthy, and make sure that we can do that we do the things that have the highest leverage ultimately. So yeah, setting a
Biggest
prioritization.
impact.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Now after being here for over a year, I'm really curious to see where do you see Airbyte going? Right. You joined a year and a half ago. We have a cloud product now, right? Where do you see this going within the next 3 years yourself? Because I mean, you're the growth product manager, right? So this really is kind of your focus, in particular cloud, because you're focused on cloud. But where do you see this going over the next, let's say, 3 years?
Yeah, that's a pretty long time to think.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see cloud accelerate a lot. I would say we're also going to see multiple
Mm.
revenue streams, not just specifically focused on cloud. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting ways we tackle the long tail. I'm super excited about what we're
Hmm.
going to do in the community around that. And so I think,
Me too.
yeah, I think there's so much that we're going to go into areas that we don't even have a presence in right now. So like, how do we partner with
Yeah.
different data vendors and make ourselves known in the tech stack? It's kind of the one-stop shop for all your data integration needs. It's a little bit hard to even imagine. Like I'm thinking about it from like a product tactical level, but at a 3-year level, I think everything's just going to accelerate and magnify everything that we're doing
Yeah.
already today and more that we can't even think of.
Yeah, definitely. No, I really think that what we're doing is game changing, and it's really interesting because I was primarily like a JavaScript developer most of my career, not doing much of data, and now working in this field and meeting all these different companies who work around what we do. What we're doing here at Airbyte, it's a game changer, and I'm really excited. And I'm so happy that my job is to help people understand what we do. It's amazing. Okay, last but not least, I do have one more question. Is I'm gonna have so much more, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. Which is, why should people join Airbyte, right? If there's like two or three things that you can point out why, other than getting to work with you because you're amazing to work with. Other than that, you can't use that no more. So you have to think of three other ideas. But what are three different reasons that people should work here, join Airbyte?
Yeah, I think the first, and obviously like my own story kind of resonates with this, is there's a growth path for everyone here to in my eyes. I was just talking to a few people today at lunch. Like one person came from engineering and went to lead data. Another person went from our community systems team and is now moving to our core engineering team. This path of movement of people into places where like their heart really has where their heart lies is really I think core to the ethos of Airbyte. And I think that
Yeah.
the values kind of exemplify that, being able to own the outcome, being able to have
Yeah.
transparency and humility. Like these are all things that really emphasize the ability to grow within Airbyte. So it's if you're looking at jobs and you're thinking, okay, I want to take the next step in my career, that's not just the next step, like my next ladder, but if I have the opportunity to go laterally or even more up, like this feels like the place to do it. And we're
Hmm.
at the size where that is completely possible and encouraged. Other parts, I would say that we have a fairly encouraging, like inclusive culture, which is interesting. I'd say
Hmm.
I've worked at startups in the past that haven't nearly emphasized as much of this
Yeah.
kind of inclusive culture, especially from the remote perspective, than Airbyte does. And I mean, even if you look at kind of the ratio of how many people we have on the HR team to how many full-time employees we have, it's great. We have, and we're growing that team as well. So we're really
Yes.
emphasizing how important it is to support our employees and make it a great place to work for everyone. And that's not something you see in early stage at all. It's usually an
Very true.
afterthought.
Very true.
Yeah, those are the two things that I can think of. And the work is fun. Like the team is great. We have
It is.
people
Yep.
from on the go-to-market side, just all walks of backgrounds. And they're not necessarily people who have done the job for 10 years beforehand, right? And are coming. They're people who are growing into
Hmm.
their roles. They're people who maybe have done the role before, but have an idea of what they want to do next, and they have a goal with going towards that. But variety of industries, variety of backgrounds, and we welcome all of that.
Awesome. Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Natalie, for joining today. I am so happy for you that you get to literally travel. It's still stuck in my head that you're just traveling right now. Is there any last words you want to share? Anything about are you hiring, etc.? Anything you want to share before we end
Yeah, I
this?
mean, we're hiring pretty rapidly on the go-to-market side. So on the growth team
Hmm.
specifically, we're looking for growth engineers, so people who can work within the product and build in-app experiments. We're also hiring for growth analytics, so someone to think about, how do we learn from what we've done and then help run prioritization for what's to come. And they'll also own things like reverse ETL, our data tech stack, and all of that. So a lot of
Hmm.
exciting things for us. We're still a small team again, but yeah, we're still rapidly growing and we're still looking for great talent.
Excellent. And I'll put the links in description below for anyone who wants to check out the jobs. This has been amazing and fun to talk to you. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for being in this call. And thank you for everyone watching. If you haven't yet, make sure that you subscribe to this video and we'll see you in the next one.
All right,
Bye.
bye.